The course of my life seemed set in stone, a well-defined path with few surprises. I held a stable position as executive editor, a role I was deeply committed to, while my wife, Sophia, excelled as a senior vice president at her publishing firm. Our family life, blessed with 2 grown children, appeared as a picture of success and stability. Everything seemed in order, at least on the surface. Yet, underneath this polished image, cracks had started to form, though I didn't see them at first. What was about to happen would shake everything I believed in and unravel the life I thought I had built. With painful clarity, I was about to discover that the love and loyalty I felt for Sophia were more fragile than I realized, and destined to break. I'm Michael Barron, married to Sophia Dawes Barron. I hold the executive editor position at the Chicago American Globe, while my wife serves as senior VP at Gravely Publishing. Our children are both in college. Our 23-year-old son, Michael Jr., is completing his international diplomacy degree at Princeton, and our daughter Ashley Sophia, 21, attends UC Berkeley. We both make a good income, though she earns a bit more than I do. I thought we were happy, or at least I thought so. We were looking forward to a fun weekend together. Sophia had endured a tough week and was really looking forward to the gala. She had a new dress, black, strapless, backless, a few inches above the knees with a slight slit on the left side. She wore the diamond necklace I gave her for our 25th anniversary, her favorite sapphire earrings, and a replica of Princess Diana's ring. Her blonde hair was elegantly styled in an updo, and she looked breathtaking. I had on my Brooks Brothers tux, which didn't require much fanfare. She stood about 12 feet away, leaning against a fake fireplace, sipping champagne and laughing like a college student. I wasn't bothered by that part. It was the slimy-looking guy talking to her, touching her arm and shoulder, whispering in her ear with a self-satisfied grin that irked me. He had just whispered something, and she nodded in agreement. All right, that's enough. Time to rescue her from this creep. I was about to step in when a gentle hand held my arm. Don't do anything. My wife is getting drawn in by him, and his friends are watching you. I looked down to see a striking brunette at my side. She subtly pointed to a rugged-looking man about 15 feet away, whose attention seemed locked onto me. Then she gestured toward the balcony doors, where another man stood watching the crowd. He's planning to lead her out to the balcony and make a move on her. He'll likely try to get too close, touch her inappropriately. That's his usual approach. If your wife doesn't respond, he'll move on to someone else. He rarely misses his target. No offense, she added. I turned back to see my wife, still smiling, following Mr. Smooth toward the balcony, stepping outside. His 2 associates shut the doors and stationed themselves nearby. Glancing at the woman next to me, who seemed a bit somber as she sipped her whiskey sour, I asked, "Who are you, and how do you know all this?" "That was me, 7 years ago," she admitted. Startled, I listened as Lana positioned me to face away from the balcony doors, then began to share her story. "I was here with my husband, supporting a children's charity event, and we were having a good time. We were planning to make a sizable donation. Then he approached me. Before I knew it, he was touching my back, suggesting we step outside. I was drawn in by his charm and followed him out to the balcony. When we got there, he touched my chest and asked if I enjoyed it. I felt both surprised and intrigued. He teased me just enough to leave me breathless, then slid his hand under my dress and into my underwear. He slid in 2 fingers, and I reached my peak right away. Then he made his proposal. He wanted me to spend the weekend with him. We'd share an intimate experience, and then I'd return home. It was supposed to be a one-time thing, never to be repeated. I went back to my husband and told him I'd be leaving for the weekend with this man. He stood by, silently watching as I walked out with him. That's what happened. My husband was devastated. He worked as an accountant. When I came back from the weekend, he couldn't even look at me. I tried to assure him we could get through it, but he couldn't be close to me anymore. We drifted apart. I began seeking casual encounters at night. He became more withdrawn. His work performance suffered, and eventually, he lost his job. One night, I came home and found him in the basement. After that, I spent 7 months in a psychiatric therapy ward. My 3 kids were between 14 and 10. They stopped speaking to me. Someone must have told them what happened. My parents filed for custody. Although I had visitation rights, I didn't really know what they were doing. When they were old enough, they filed for emancipation and cut off all contact with me. Glancing at her watch, she noted, "It took him about 15 minutes to change me. He's been out there about 12, and I..." Then she instructed, "Don't turn around. Don't acknowledge them. Ignore them. If she tries to talk to you, don't look at her. She may say she has something important to share. If she does, respond however you want, and then we'll leave. Together. It'll unsettle him, and it may give her pause. This might be the only satisfaction you get, at least for now. We'll go somewhere to relax and talk. Can you handle that? Stay alert. He heard her footsteps approaching from behind. She placed her hand on his upper left arm and began, Michael, there's something I need to tell you. I shook her off and snapped over my shoulder. Stay away from me. You're nothing but trouble. Say what you need to, but if you don't come home tonight, don't bother coming back. We're done, and I'll make sure you regret it. You have more to lose than I do. I gestured to Miss Lana, and we left. Michael, we need to talk right now. The atmosphere had settled down, and people made way as we moved toward the exit. How did you get here? I asked. Car service. Allow me, ma'am, I offered. They pulled my Lincoln up to the front, and a young man opened the door. She got in, I tipped him, and got in on my side, and we drove off. I know a quiet place where we can talk if that works for you. Perfect, Michael. I could use a drink. We headed to the Corral, a relaxed spot with a mostly older crowd. After parking, we found a quiet table in the back and ordered drinks and appetizers. She finished sharing her story, and I told her about Sophia and me. She was a college professor and had faced a major setback in her career when the news got out. I mentioned that I was the executive editor at the Chicago American Globe. I filled her in on my background, 6 years in the Air Force in special operations and nearly 20 years as a reporter and journalist. I also told her about our 2 kids, Michael Jr. and Ashley Sophia, both off at college. So what's your plan? Plan? I can't even wrap my head around my feelings, let alone what actions to take. If she's not there when I get home, it's time for drastic measures. She'll pay, and so will he. Oh, God. And the tears started flowing. She took my hand, her eyes showing a deep empathy, as though the world had crumbled for both of us. I looked at her, realizing that if I wanted, I could find comfort here. But I couldn't. If there was any hope of reconciliation, I couldn't act on it. Look, I'm sorry, but rebound closeness isn't my thing. I need to go home and face this. Please share your contact details so we can stay in touch, maybe talk through this. And I'll need that guy's name to start planning his downfall. She took my phone, entered her full name, Lana Tooley, along with her phone number and address. Michael, you're a good man. You didn't deserve this. I hoped for something more, but I respect your choice. Go home and try to work things out. Best of luck. I settled the bill and we headed out. I dropped her off at her townhouse and she went inside. I drove home, and as I entered, I realized Sophia wasn't there. All right, she's made her choice. It was 12:39 a.m. I picked up my cell phone and dialed my best friend, Steve Dawson. He was also my attorney. We'd served together in the Air Force and often joked about how he'd gone on to be a lawyer while I got a respectable job. A groggy voice answered, Hello, Michael? What's going on, Mike? It's almost 1 a.m. Are you all right? No, Steve, it's not all right. I need you here at 10 a.m. tomorrow, ready to get into lawyer mode. And maybe even best friend mode. I'm filing for divorce. Now I had his full attention. I heard his wife in the background. It's Mike. We've got a problem. You went to that event, right? Sophia met Darren Watson, didn't she? Oh man, you had no idea. Just make sure you're here, Steve, okay? For me. No problem, I'll be there. I started making a list. I looked up a bonded locksmith and jotted down his contact info. Then I went online and found a site that buys cars for cash if the title is clear. I'd bought her a BMW for our 24th anniversary, and it was in my name. I noted their contact details and packed 2 small overnight bags with essentials, underwear, clothes, and shoes. I left them by the front door and went to bed. At 7 a.m., I woke up, made coffee, and checked my computer for updates from the newsroom. I noticed that Joe Spillane, one of our investigative reporters, was online. I called Joe and asked him to discreetly find everything he could on someone named Darren Watson. No problem, boss. I'll get right on it. Still no sign of my soon-to-be ex-wife. As it got closer to 10 o'clock, I was feeling lower. I called the car buyer, explaining I had a BMW with a clear title and valid Illinois registration for sale. He asked for the model and quoted a price. A 2-year-old BMW, huh? How about $2,000? He sounded surprised, almost suspicious. It's not stolen, I assured him. But you'll need to pick it up. What's the address? After I told him, he promised he'd be there in 25 minutes. Don't sell it to anyone else. I'll be there, he said, hanging up. 10 minutes later, just after I finished with the locksmith, Steve arrived with his paralegal, Dottie. We went inside and I served them coffee and English muffins. About 20 minutes later, Andy from the car service showed up. I showed him the BMW, the registration, and title. He asked if there was anything wrong with it. No, it's in good shape. I just don't need it anymore. Divorce. Glad you're not divorcing me, he joked. They had a flatbed tow truck ready, so I signed all the paperwork and Andy paid me before taking the car. I shook his hand and he wished me luck. Still no sign of my unfaithful wife. Back inside, my legal team was hard at work in the dining room. The divorce papers were ready, and they'd also drawn up a restraining order and started on a suit for alienation of affection. Steve asked about the car, and I explained that I'd sold it since I no longer needed it. You didn't do anything illegal. A bit sneaky, sure, but I like it. Let's get the financial stuff settled online. For the next 45 minutes, we tackled everything. Banks, investment accounts, insurance, cell phones, mortgages, and my pensions. By noon, my wife still hadn't returned, and the locksmith had finished changing all the locks and installed keyless deadbolts on every door. We went to Saltgrass Steakhouse for lunch, where we met Steve's wife, Deirdre, or Dee Dee, as she's called. She gave me a warm hug, showing her support. At the table, Dee Dee watched me, clearly waiting for me to open up. Eventually, I asked, "What?" She wanted to know what happened and what I planned to do next. All I did was trust my wife. She blindsided me, and I'm still processing it. Could it ever be fixed? Absolutely not. She still hasn't come back. And honestly, I'm at a loss. It feels like the only way out might be if she just disappeared entirely. Dee Dee looked at me with understanding, nodding as she said she couldn't imagine why Sophia would do this. After a long conversation, we headed back. I returned home around 6 p.m., still alone and with no sign of my wife. I grabbed a beer and fell asleep in my recliner. The next morning, I woke up at 7 a.m., groggy and sore, and shuffled to the shower. After cleaning up, I did something I hadn't done in years. I went to church. Church offered a bit of peace. I sat quietly in the back, praying for guidance, but it felt like my prayers were met with silence. After Mass, I stayed longer, hoping for some sign. But it seemed I was on my own in this, and that was just how it would be. I drove home, picked up a coffee at a fast food place, and parked my Lincoln in the garage next to my 1980 full-size Bronco. With the changing weather, I'd soon be driving it daily. After locking up the garage, I turned on the TV to watch the Bears-Lions game. But as usual, the Bears lost. It seemed fitting, given my luck these days. At 5:30, I got a text from my wife. "On my way. Be home in 20 minutes. With the restraining order taking effect soon, things were about to get intense. 20 minutes later, I heard an unfamiliar car pull into the driveway. Peeking out the window, I saw a fancy European car. Sophia stepped out from the passenger side and leaned in to kiss someone, probably Darren Watson. After he left, she walked up to the house, but her keys didn't work with the new locks. Confused, she noticed the 2 small overnight bags by the door. "What's going on?" she muttered. She rang the bell repeatedly, pounding on the door, and yelled for me to open it. Frustrated, she shouted, "Open the door, Michael!" Finally, I went to the door, facing my furious wife. She glared at me, demanding an explanation. "Simple, Sophia. Your keys don't work because you don't live here anymore. The woman I was married to used to live here, but she's gone now." Her eyes went wide, and she leaned in for a kiss. "But, honey," she began, "don't even try. I have no idea where that mouth has been or who it's been on. How many times did you sleep with him? Or do other things? We didn't just share intimacy, it was special. Oh, spare me. You vanished for 2 full days without a single call. I doubt you even thought of me. Did you keep your wedding rings on while you were with him?" She flinched, stammering. "At least you kept your anniversary jewelry. They were gifts, so they're yours," I said, taking her wedding rings off. "But these are mine. And the engagement ring? That was my grandmother's. Remember when I proposed? You won't be needing these anymore." She began to cry and tremble. "Why are you doing this?" she burst out. "It was just an experience. I had a right to it. You don't own me." She was regaining some confidence. "You need to swallow your pride, Michael. We both need to move on." "You're right, and I'm doing just that. Here, this is for you." I handed her an envelope, and she looked at it, confused. "What's this?" she asked. "Money. I sold the BMW. I didn't need it anymore." She looked as though she'd been slapped. "What did you do with my car?" "It wasn't your car. I bought it for you, but it was in my name, so I sold it. I thought giving you the money would be a fair gesture, that's all of it. But there's only," she counted the bills, $2,000. That car was worth way more. What's going on?" That's all it was worth, much like our marriage after Friday night. I warned you I'd take everything, and you had far more to lose than I did. The shock was clear on her face, and she started protesting again. "How could you be so heartless? I came back to you." Man, I must be lucky, I thought as I noticed her bare right hand. "Where's the Princess D ring, Sophia? The one you had to have. I offered to get a real replica, but you insisted on that knockoff. I got it to make you happy. Where is it, ho?" Her face turned pale. She stuttered, He what, ho?" He wanted a memento from our weekend, she murmured, avoiding my eyes. So you not only gave him yourself, but you also gave away the ring you said you treasured. She blushed and nodded. I checked my watch. 6:03 p.m. Get out, Sophia, we're done. No, I want to come inside. This is my home. Not anymore, it isn't. I slammed the door shut and bolted it. Leaning against the heavy oak, tears filled my eyes as the pain finally set in. She continued ringing the bell, pounding on the door, shouting for me to let her in. I dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? Police, fire, or medical? I have a restraining order against my soon-to-be ex-wife. She's outside, yelling and causing a disturbance. Please send someone quickly. Moments later, he watched as 2 police cars arrived, lights flashing. 4 officers approached his wife while 2 came to his door. He handed them the restraining order, which they verified with the station. Then he provided her copy, requesting they handle things quietly. Meanwhile, his wife received the notice and erupted. The officers calmed her down and she shouted, "Where am I supposed to go?" "Go to hell, Sophia. I couldn't care less." The officers informed her she had to leave and escorted her and her bags to the curb. She used her phone to call an Uber. Apologizing, the officers waited as she instructed the driver to take her to the Peninsula Hotel. She climbed in, and they drove off. At Gravely Publishing, Sophia headed to her office on the 10th floor. Her executive assistant, Jessica, awaited her, noting she was 30 minutes late. Jessica followed her inside. "Is it true?" Jess asked. Sophia turned to face her friend and assistant, alert. "What are you talking about?" "Everyone's talking. You and Michael. The gala on Friday night." Sophia sat down, admitting, "Yes, we went to the gala." "And the rest of the weekend?" "I'm not sure what you mean," Sophia replied. "You left with that guy, the creep, and left Michael there." "Oh my God, Sophia!" Jess slumped into a chair, crying. Sophia was taken aback, staring at her friend. "How did you know? I haven't told anyone. Who else knows? Everyone knows, you fool. It's all over the company, and it's not even 11 o'clock yet." Sophia's face went pale as she sank into her seat. Just then, her boss, Gwendolyn Harrelson, burst in, looking between the two of them, shocked. "Oh my goodness, it's true!" she exclaimed. Sophia was stunned by her boss's reaction. Things were spiraling out of control. Defensively, Sophia said, "I think this is being blown way out of proportion." "Oh, really?" Gwen replied with a smirk. "Do you even know who he is? How do you think the whole city, maybe half the Midwest, already knows?" Sophia turned pale, staring at her hands. "What did Michael tell you?" "He said we're over. Claimed he'd ruin me like I ruined him. Who does he think he is? He doesn't control my life." "He's your husband, you fool. What did Michael do when you got back on Sunday?" She glanced down at her desk, sniffing. "He sold my car. Said he didn't need it anymore since he didn't have a wife to drive it." "Oh my goodness!" exclaimed Gwen. At that moment, the door flew open, and Stephanie Jameson, Vice President of Mortgages and Acquisitions at Chemical Bank, stormed in, followed by Sophia's secretary, Angela. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Barron, she just walked in." "It's all right, Angela. Come on in, Steph," Sophia said with a hint of sarcasm. "What on earth have you done?" Just then, Gwen's phone rang. "Hello?" "Yes, Hank, I'm with her now." "No, we haven't heard anything from him yet. I'm just getting the details." "Yes, dear. I'll let you know as soon as I find out. Goodbye, dear." "That was my husband. He wants to know if you've heard from Michael today." "No, I haven't spoken to him since last night," Sophia replied. With that, she dialed her husband's number, but her phone beeped twice, then announced her service had been disconnected. She stared at her Nokia as if it were toxic. "He cut off my phone," she murmured. Gwen sighed. "Oh, this is bad. Very bad." Just then, Angela entered, saying a young woman was urgently requesting to see her. She said it's about your marriage. A tense silence filled Sophia's office. "Send her in, Angela." A tall, blonde woman in a navy skirt, ivory blouse, 3-inch heels, and blazer entered with a small briefcase. She approached Sophia's desk, looked around the room, and fixed her gaze on Sophia. "Are you Mrs. Sophia Barron, at least for now?" Stephanie interjected. "Listen here, lady. Who do you think you are?" "Yes, I'm Michael Barron's wife. Do you have something for me?" Sophia asked, dreading what was coming. "Congratulations, Mrs. Barron, you've been served." The woman handed her a large envelope, snapped a quick photo, and headed for the door. Pausing, she turned back to the group. 7 years ago, my mother tore our family apart just like you did. Hope it was worth it. Good day." Sophia dropped her head onto the desk, gripping the envelope. Gwen rushed over, helping her sit up as she struggled to breathe, hyperventilating. Meanwhile, Stephanie dialed a number on her phone, connecting to Michael's office. "Chicago American Globe, Mr. Barron's office. How may I assist you?" I need to speak with Mr. Barron. It's Mrs. Stephanie Jameson from Chemical Bank. May I ask what this is regarding, ma'am? It's about his wife. I'm sorry, ma'am. He's not accepting calls from his wife. He said to tell her to just put him on the phone. One moment, please. Soon, Michael's voice came through the speaker. Well, Stephanie, the whole crowd's gathered around Sophia. Let me guess. Jessica and Gwendolyn are there too, with the Queen of Fidelity. What do you need? Michael, this is extreme. She's in pieces and you're not helping. What's your plan here? Ask her what she expected to happen when she left for her special weekend. Tell her to get a lawyer and talk to them. I won't speak to her until we sit down with the kids on Saturday. Goodbye, Stephanie. Click. Oh no, Gwen whispered. You're in serious trouble. Well, Stephanie replied, your only option is to lay it all out and beg for mercy. Oh wait, you already did that this weekend, didn't you? Sophia's head hit the desk again, the sound echoing through the office, but no one moved to help her. Michael ended the call and then dialed his son in New Jersey. Michael Jr. was in a committed relationship, and Michael hoped this situation wouldn't impact it, but they needed to talk. After 3 rings, his son picked up. Hey, Dad, what's up? Not great, son. How's Tara? She's good, Dad. What's going on? Is Mom okay? She's physically fine. I need you and your sister here for a family meeting on Saturday. Tara's welcome to come too. 2 tickets will be waiting for you at the counter on Friday. Janine will send you the details. Don't ask questions. Just be here. It's important. Dad, what's going on? You're really scaring me. Son, I haven't spoken to you like this in over 10 years, but I need you to trust me now. Just come, and don't ask questions. He hung up, deciding he wouldn't try to influence their views on their mother. He'd let them come to their own conclusions. His conversation with his daughter went much the same way, though she sounded more emotional. She also agreed to meet him on Friday. The rest of his day passed quietly. He consulted his lawyer and updated his private investigator on any progress regarding Darren Watson. Meanwhile, at Gravely Publishing, Sophia's friends gathered, trying to console her as she sat overwhelmed, babbling and in tears. What have I done? What have I done? Sophia cried, barely able to process reality. Finally, Gwen stepped up. We need to pull it together and find a way to even things out. She made a call on her cell phone. Hey, Carolyn, it's Gwendolyn Harrelson. Can you take on a friend of mine for a divorce case? Her name is Sophia Barron. Yes, her husband is Michael Barron. Wait, what? I see. Thanks anyway. What was that about? Someone asked. She's already being seen as toxic. That was Carolyn Herrera. She's a tough lawyer who has no sympathy for either bad husbands or cheating spouses. When she heard Sophia's name, she knew the situation. She said if she took the case, her own husband would divorce her. They're devout Catholics with 5 kids, and they know Michael and Sophia. Plus, she's heard about the guy involved. Stephanie jumped in. Let me give it a shot. She dialed a number on her cell phone. Hi, this is Stephanie Jameson. Can I speak to Brett Walker? Yes. It's regarding a divorce matter. Hi, Brett. I need to discuss a divorce case with you. Oh, you've already heard. Well, thanks anyway. She turned to Sophia. No luck, honey. I'm running out of options. He heard about what happened and basically said, you brought this on yourself. He also mentioned he wouldn't go up against Steve Dawson on this for anything. Sophia slumped forward, her head falling onto her arms on her desk. Then, I called in a few friends to stir up some discreet trouble. Nothing major. I didn't want them getting caught. They put sugar in the gas tank, tossed paint balloons onto his car, then went to work with an air grinder and a rotozip tool, scratching up the hood, sides, roof, and rear deck. Finally, they deflated the tires and slashed the sidewalls, leaving those expensive Michelins totally wrecked. This back-and-forth retaliation was going to keep up for a while, and I didn't mind the expense. It took her some time, but she finally found a feminist lawyer willing to take her case. Everything was leading up to the family meeting. Friday in Chicago was cold, nearly as chilly as things were at home. The kids flew in from both coasts. My son brought his soon-to-be fiancée along. I hoped he was making the right decision, as this meeting was bound to be emotional. Their mom was still at the hotel, and they didn't quite understand why. I told them they'd get the chance to speak with her the next day. They asked where she was. She's at the Peninsula Hotel. If you want to see or talk to her, you can try there. I've tried, Dad. Her cell phone isn't working anymore. Why's that? It's been disconnected. Call her work or leave a message at the front desk. Strange she hasn't called you herself, isn't it? My daughter looked over at my son and his fiancée, asking, What's going on? Your mom has some things to explain. I can't discuss it. You'll have to talk to her yourselves. You'll understand more if she tells you. They tried to reach her, but couldn't. Through her secretary, they set up a meeting for Saturday morning at 10 a.m. I took the kids out for dinner, and though it was a little awkward, we had a pleasant time. Saturday morning dawned clear and cold. typical for Chicago this time of year. At 10 o'clock, the kids sat with coffee, waiting for their mom to arrive. She showed up with the Honorable Kathleen O'Hara in tow. "Really, Sophia? Bringing your lawyer here in front of the kids? My client doesn't want her character attacked in front of her children. Your call." We moved into the living room where the kids rushed over to their mom, full of questions. "No questions for my client," Miss O'Hara announced. "What? Who is this, Mom?" asked my daughter. "I'm Miss Sophia Dawes' attorney. Your father is filing for divorce from her." The game was up. I just sat back with a quiet smile, saying nothing. Steve had advised me to either tell the truth or say nothing at all in this situation. Looking back, it was wise advice. My son was the first to speak. "What's going on, Mom?" "Please direct all questions to me," the lawyer replied. "Mom, what's happening?" Ashley asked. "You can talk to me, young lady. I'm your mother's spokesperson." "Mom, is this true?" my daughter persisted. "Miss Barron, don't make me remind you again," Miss O'Hara cut in. That's when Tara, my son's fiancée, snapped, "Shut up, lady." Needless to say, Miss O'Hara was stunned. "And who are you?" "I'm Miss Tara Longoria, Mr. Michael Barron Jr.'s fiancée. That makes me family, more than I can say for you." Now, things were getting interesting. Apparently, Michael Jr.'s mom didn't know about the engagement. And honestly, even I hadn't realized just how serious it was until I saw the diamond on Tara's left hand. I smiled, got up, and hugged my soon-to-be daughter-in-law, then turned to my son, hugged him, and shook his hand. "Congrats, son." He grinned back, saying, "Watch it, old man. You know she's taken." Meanwhile, his mom looked stunned. "Oh, my baby!" Sophia exclaimed. "Sorry, Mom, but you'll need to talk through your attorney," her child reminded her. She choked up, and Miss O'Hara announced, "I think we're done here," getting up to leave. That was the last straw for me. "Sit down, Massachusetts AM. This is a family meeting. You knew that, and you still brought a lawyer. You can either stay quiet or leave. Her kids and I need to talk to Sophia. Understood?" The room fell silent. Miss O'Hara reluctantly sat back down, looking visibly embarrassed. "Now, Sophia, other than today, I haven't told our kids anything yet. You're up first. Don't blow it." I shot the lawyer a look when she tried to speak, and she quickly fell silent. Flustered, Sophia finally managed to say, "Your father wants a divorce." Michael looked at her with a hard expression. "Why, Mom?" She looked away, barely whispering, "I don't know." Michael, Ashley, and Tara turned their gazes to me. I still had my side of the story to tell, so I kept my composure. "Really, Sophia? That's how you're handling this?" She started to cry, barely managing. "Your turn?" She sobbed again. "Fine. Your mother and I went to a children's charity gala last Friday. She ended up mingling with a man who offered her a weekend of so-called excitement, promising her experiences she'd never forget. This happened right on the ballroom balcony. Women who'd been targeted by him warned me about his intentions. Then they left together, and she told me she was going home with him for the weekend. I feel terrible for not stepping in. She's an adult and can make her own choices, but I regret not standing up to him. I could have caused a scene, but I didn't. I feel ashamed and embarrassed. Your mother, however, went ahead with her choice, just as everyone predicted. I didn't hear from her until Sunday afternoon, around 4:45, when she texted that she was on her way home. She got back around 5:25, and he dropped her off. I could feel my anger rising. She walked up like nothing happened. Her keys didn't work because I changed the locks. I didn't want to risk her bringing him into our home. "You sold my car," she interjected. "I already explained. It was my car. I bought it. It was in my name. I gave you the money from the sale. I didn't give it away like you gave yourself." Sophia started to fall apart, her mascara and eyeliner smudging as tears rolled down her face. But you know what hurt the most? She wore her diamond necklace, the one I gave her for our 24th anniversary, and her Christmas sapphire earrings to the event. When she came home, she still had those, along with her wedding and engagement rings. I took those back because we're no longer married, and the engagement ring was my grandmother's. But you know what was missing? The one piece of jewelry she said meant the most to her. What was her favorite? The one she loved? Even though it was just a cheap replica? The one I promised to replace with a better version? The ring she always wore? My kids knew right away. "Lady Di's ring," they said. Sophia broke down crying. "Yeah, Lady Di's ring. She lost it. And you know why? Please, Michael, stop. Please. He wanted a keepsake. She gave it away just like she gave herself." My kids held on to each other, stunned. Sophia was falling apart. "Please, stop. I'll sign everything. Just stop." So I spent the weekend and the whole week sorting things out and crying. I cried a lot. That's why there's nothing left now. Then Ashley said, "Daddy, Can't you forgive her for one mistake? Michael Jr. added, Yeah, Dad, it was just one time. Mom deserves better from you. Move on. I missed the first chance to confront this head-on, feeling unprepared for their reaction. I was shaken. Was I really the only one feeling this pain? Was it all my fault? Did my kids even understand what was going on? Are you even listening to what we're discussing? Do you know what she did? Let's go over it. Tell me, Sophia. Did you have an inappropriate conversation with a man who wasn't your husband last Friday night? I talked to a nice guy. Another opportunity slipped by. Answer the question. Well, I suppose I might have. Yet another chance gone. I was still holding up, and she couldn't give a direct answer. And did he tell you to inform your husband that you were going home with him for the night? Yes, but I'm an adult and, a close call, but I was still steady. I see. So, did you sleep with him? Because I wasn't there. I don't know, so tell us what you did all weekend. Did you play games, recite poetry, write letters to the kids? Did you even think to call your husband? You're nothing but a hoe. She threw an insult, but I didn't respond. I wanted it, so I did it, she admitted. Know this. I'll have you questioned under oath about that weekend. Everyone will know, if they don't already. And that woman who served you the papers? She's actually a lawyer. She volunteered because her family went through something similar. That's why she became an attorney. Sophia finally understood she was in trouble. She broke down completely, all her confidence gone. Facing me and our 3 kids, she said, I'll sign everything and give it to Peter today. O'Hara intervened. I don't think that's in your best interest. You're fired, Kathleen. Send your invoice to my office and I'll take care of it. Right on target. I felt like I'd hit a home run straight into center field at Comiskey Park. Sophia walked to the door, glanced back at me. Goodbye, Michael. Kids, I'll call you tomorrow and we'll meet up. She left, the door closing behind her. Miss O'Hara stayed in the living room. Well, she said to me, I hope you're happy. She's devastated. Get out of my house, you witch, I shouted. The attorney huffed, turned, and left. That's when the backlash started. Dad, how could you be so harsh to Mom, treating her like that? My daughter said. What's wrong with you, Dad? Are you seriously divorcing Mom over this? I thought to myself, glad I sent both of them to college. Do you think I should just accept this? Is this what you both expect in your own marriages? I turned toward Tara. If that's the case, get out now, Tara. She gasped, staring at me. I'd never do anything like that, Dad. It's wrong from every angle. Surely, Dad, you're not actually going through with this, Mike added. Mike, it's decided. And if you can't support me on this, don't invite me to any future events. Any events. I held his gaze, watching as his own temper, so similar to mine, flared up. Ashley, though, was still complaining. Dad, why were you so mean? Mom was so upset when she left. She's really hurting. You should forgive her and take her back. I was stunned that my kids were taking her side despite everything. Finally, Tara spoke up. Dad, this might bother Mike, but you're right. Mom didn't even acknowledge what she did wrong or apologize. Not that it would change things, but at least some remorse would have been the decent thing. Tension filled the room. About 2 hours later, they called their mom and arranged to visit her. I gave Mike a spare key and reminded him to drive safely. He looked at me and asked if I wanted to come along. Are you kidding me? I said, raising my voice. Mike stared at me, saying he just didn't understand me. Meanwhile, I doubled down on my efforts against the guy, and my allies seemed to be enjoying themselves while handling it. One of their moves was to switch his license plate and then anonymously report his car as stolen. I was impressed by how easily they accessed his vehicles, even though he kept both his Ferrari and Cadillac in a garage. They also tailed him on the Dan Ryan Expressway, using a clever device to manipulate the car's computer. By slowing down traffic and boxing him into the middle lane, they forced his Ferrari into the barrier when he tried to exit. It sustained heavy damage, landing him in the hospital for 10 days. As a result, his insurance premiums skyrocketed, and he lost his original coverage. The guy was going through the worst luck possible, and whenever the cops got involved, they didn't seem too keen to investigate. They knew his reputation and turned a blind eye to his troubles. Most of them likely assumed some angry husband was getting his revenge. Thank goodness for the police. That evening, Steve called to let me know that Sophia had delivered the legal documents herself. He had a favorable judge lined up. His son had been a victim of the same guy 3 years ago, and the judge assured us he would fast-track both the divorce and the alienation of affection lawsuit. As for the adultery claim, it was uncertain how far we could take it, but it was worth trying. After the initial confrontation, the kids became distant, with only Tara showing any support for my decision. About a week later, they returned to school, and the divorce process moved forward. When the final decree came through, I felt a wave of relief, just in time for the Cancer Society ball. I knew the guy would be there, and I was itching for some payback. At a coffee shop, one of my friends pitched an idea so clever that I had to see it myself. I called Lana to ask if she'd be attending. She mentioned she'd been invited but hadn't decided. I suggested she come. It would be worth it to witness some entertainment I had in mind. We arrived at the event and mingled, noticing Sophia with her friends, Gwendolyn and Stephanie. She was trying to engage with the guy, but he was fixated on a petite blonde in a green dress. Meanwhile, his two associates were keeping her husband occupied while he made his move on her. He led her into a private room and shut the door behind them. I approached the husband, offering to help if he'd trust me and follow my lead. He looked panicked, so Lana explained the situation to him. I warned him that making a scene could get him hurt, but if he stayed calm, they'd still leave together, just a bit embarrassed. He looked at the goons, thought for a moment, and reluctantly agreed. I promised to connect him with people who could assist him, and suggested he might be able to embarrass his wife enough to get an apology. He went along with the plan. As they came out of the private room, the wife leading, we followed them. They stopped to grab their coats while the goons arranged for their Cadillac to be brought around. We exited just as they were getting into the back seat, with him pulling her close and kissing her. After they closed the door, the second goon climbed into the front passenger seat. The husband was tense, but I urged him to wait. My friend's plan involved two of his associates who worked at an auto detail shop. They had given the guy's office a discount coupon for an interior cleaning and free car wash. While cleaning the car, they planted 3 smoke bombs that emitted a skunk-like smell, each with electronic detonators. As the car's brake lights blinked and it began to pull forward, it suddenly stopped about 10 feet later, hitting a taxi on the front right side. The doors swung open, and 4 people stumbled out, coughing and gagging, with smoke pouring out of the car. The blonde's dress slipped down, and her underwear ended up on the pavement for all to see. The woman's husband rushed to her side, though he was a bit unsteady from the smell and smoke. I smirked as the jerk struggled to stand, hobbling on his injured leg. Just then, the police arrived, and as the jerk moved toward his former lover, her husband stepped in, delivering a punch to his stomach and a kick to his groin. Down he went. The husband quickly led his wife away, ignoring the lingering skunk smell as he scolded her while they left. Turning to Lana, I said, "Score 1 for the good guys." I had given the husband my business card with my cell number and told him to call me the next day. Then I dialed a speed dial number on my phone. "Hello?" a voice answered. "Great job," I said. "Thanks," he replied, and I ended the call. After giving the husband my card and telling him to reach out if he needed, Lana and I headed to her townhome, where things quickly got intense. We ended up in her bedroom, exploring a deeper kind of connection. Although I hadn't been celibate since my divorce, this felt like a new level of intimacy. In bed, she pushed me down and focused all her energy on me, leaving marks as she nibbled. She climaxed powerfully, crying out her late husband's name as she did. It was a raw moment, her emotions spilling out. She collapsed, crying, then composed herself and apologized for the outburst. I reassured her, recognizing her pain. We talked, acknowledging the intensity of the moment. I wasn't certain what I felt for her, but there was definitely a connection. After resting, I showered, got dressed, and kissed her before leaving. She asked if she'd be okay, and I promised to call. In the following months, Lana and I grew closer while family matters continued to unfold. My son got married, and despite everything, they invited his mother, expecting me to manage the situation. I assured him I would, but I didn't attend. Tara's family didn't know the full story and weren't pleased with me. When Tara's wife filled them in, her mom was shocked, and her dad was furious. The Italian side of her family cut ties with my ex-wife, and Tara's grandmother even spat in Sophia's face. Things escalated when one of Sophia's friends hit on her, causing a scene. Sophia broke down and left the reception. I sent Tara a thoughtful note and a check, and I wrote her parents a letter explaining why I couldn't be around Sophia. I also sent my son a straightforward email. The wedding had taken place in Kenilworth, New Jersey. A year later, my son and daughter-in-law welcomed a baby boy named Michael Giovanni Barron, honoring both his dad and grandfathers. Tara invited me to the christening, and I was thrilled. I flew to Newark, New Jersey, booked a hotel, and attended the ceremony at St. Michael the Archangel Catholic Church in Palisades Park, New Jersey. Meeting my grandson, my namesake, was pure joy. But then, I saw Sophia arrive with someone, and I nearly lost my cool. She approached me, and I turned to my son, asking if she was really here. Tara gently pleaded with me to stay calm just this once. "Sorry, honey. I said, handing her an envelope before leaving. Back at the hotel, I checked out, headed to the airport, caught a flight back to Chicago, and went home. Afterward, I nearly had to change my phone number. Childish? Maybe. But that's just how it went. Time passed, and Michael landed a job in Chicago with the Justice Department. When I called to congratulate him and Tara and asked about my grandson, I heard her voice in the background. "Who's on the phone?" she called out from a distance. I hung up and powered off my phone. After that, I mostly kept to myself. The only person I stayed in regular touch with was Lana, who had become a close friend and confidant. My quiet campaign against Darren Woodson was still underway. He was trying to find out who was behind it, but he hadn't succeeded. Even my son and Tara knew about it. It was minor stuff, but it had become something of a legend. Time moved on. About 3 months later, Tara called me at work. "Dad, next Saturday is little Michael's 3rd birthday. We're throwing a party and we want you there." "I'd love to, sweetheart, but you know how I feel. I don't want to ruin it. Mom's not invited. I told Michael, your son, that she's not welcome that day. If he invites her, I'll cut him off." I really admired this girl. My son was lucky to have her. I'd be honored to come. I got the details and cleared my schedule for the day. I called FAO Schwartz and ordered a Tonka dump truck, just like the one I had as a kid. They wrapped it and sent it to my office. I remembered getting one for Michael one Christmas and he loved it. No electronics, just metal and rubber wheels. They were always a hit, especially with grandfathers. I arrived at 10 a.m. on Saturday. We had a wonderful time. Lunch, cake, coffee, and then presents. I spoke with Tara's parents, who said they could see why their daughter respected me so much. Tara's dad loved the dump truck. Reminds me of the one I had as a kid. Great choice, Mike. I liked him. Little Mike played with the truck all over the backyard until he got tired. His mom and grandma took him in for a nap. Even my son was courteous. He brought me a beer and suggested I relax in the backyard. I took his advice and settled into a lawn chair, feeling at ease as I sipped my bud. A shadow fell over me, and I looked up to see my ex-wife holding a glass of what looked like white wine. "Hello, Michael. Mind if I join you?" I shot her a look, but didn't respond. She set her large shoulder bag down and sat, crossing her ankles, a pose she once used to charm me. Not this time. My glare made her visibly uneasy. "You're not making this easy, are you?" "Anyway, Michael said you'd be here, and his wife made it clear I wasn't invited. He may not be thrilled about it, but he thought it was worth a try to patch things up between us. Michael thinks we deserve another chance. I want us to be together again, to wake up side by side, to grow old together. It's been lonely these past years. What do you say? Can we give it another shot?" I looked her over. She'd aged, put on weight, and had developed a nervous twitch. No apology, just a speech. I wondered what had happened to the woman I married. I sighed, finished my beer, and stood up. "Well?" she asked. "What's your answer?" "Not just no, but hell no, Sophia. I've been through hell these past 3.5 years because of you." Maybe it was harsh, but it felt good to say. I turned and walked away. I headed up to the patio, then slipped through the sliding glass doors into the kitchen, where I ran into my son, who was grinning at me. "So how'd it go, Dad? Not too rough, right?" A fire shot rang out, followed by screams as guests rushed outside. I grabbed my son's arm. "Your mother may be hurt. Go check on her." He went pale and hurried outside. I grabbed a water bottle, walked to the living room, and sat alone on the couch. The police arrived, gathering statements. A .40 tool can do serious damage. I answered their questions, explaining I hadn't spoken to my ex-wife in years. I consoled my daughter-in-law, who was in tears, then left for home. Lana called, having heard the news. I assured her I was managing and didn't need help. "No, I'll be fine, but thanks for the offer." On Monday, I called in Stu Phillips, our top crime photographer in Chicago, known for his award-winning work. "Stu, I need a favor. My ex-wife took her own life at my grandson's birthday party on Saturday. Yeah, most people have heard about it, boss. We're sorry, even if you two weren't close." "Thanks. I appreciate it. Do you have contacts on the forensics team? I'd like photos of her skull, her head. Color 10 by 12 would be ideal." Stu gave me a curious look, mulling it over. "That's an unusual request, but I think I can pull it off. I know some folks who owe me one. Might be a bit strange, though." "Thanks, Stu. I owe you. I'll have it in a few days, boss." A new angle for my revenge campaign started forming in my mind. The wake lasted 3 days at an upscale funeral home on the west side. Her casket stayed closed due to her appearance. She had a large circle of friends, with hundreds attending. I wasn't there. Word spread that my absence didn't go unnoticed. The day of her funeral was cold, gray, and rainy, leaving me feeling chilled and damp. The procession included 4 flower cars, 3 limos, and a hearse, with about 60 cars following. I wasn't one of them. Instead, I stood at the cemetery watching from a distance through the misty rain. I observed as they carried the coffin to the grave. Despite the dreary weather, a large crowd gathered, and the priest spoke kindly about her, making me wonder who he was really describing. I was surprised he even agreed to speak, given the nature of her passing. I noticed my son scanning the area, likely searching for me. Once the service concluded, people began to leave, and eventually, only close friends and family remained. As the crowd thinned further, it dwindled down to just my kids. They walked to the limos, my son lingering by the back door of the Cadillac, glancing around one last time. When he didn't spot me, he got inside. The car slowly pulled away, fading into the mist. I stepped out from behind the trees just as the groundskeepers were preparing to close the grave. Approaching her coffin, I briefly considered a small act of defiance, but found that all the anger and resentment had faded. Somehow, it was just gone. Looking down at the woman I once loved, I sighed and said my final goodbye. I forgive you. Even if you never recognized your wrongs, I forgive you. I used to love you, but not anymore. Arriving at work the next day, I saw a large envelope on my desk. I hesitated, knowing what was inside, but eventually gathered the courage to open it. The photo wasn't pleasant, but it was her. With the upcoming Children's Society benefit marking the 4th anniversary of everything that had unfolded, I called Lana and invited her to go with me. She accepted eagerly, and we arranged for me to pick her up around 8 p.m. I then summoned the Society editor, our investigative reporter, and a photographer to my office for a planning meeting. Once everyone arrived, I explained my plan. Next weekend, I want that expose on Darren Woodson published. There were nods of agreement. Only verified, factual, legally supported accounts, backed by depositions and sworn statements. No speculation. We should have enough solid evidence to bring him down. I want photographers at the event to capture everything, and then we'll interview the organizers to get a tally on the proceeds. Can we make it happen? I don't see any issues, boss. We'll be ready to publish by midnight Friday, with room for any new photos. Thank you, everyone, I said. A week later, I escorted Lana Tooley to the children's charity event. After checking our coats, we mingled with friends. There he was, prowling through the crowd like a predator, scanning for his next target. He soon zeroed in on a pretty brunette with long hair, whose husband had just gone to the bar for drinks. Her champagne glass was nearly empty. She smiled as Woodson approached and whispered something in her ear. Blushing slightly, she leaned closer to him. He brushed her arm, then her shoulder, and she shivered, moving in even closer. I saw one of his henchmen positioning himself near the balcony doors while the other made his way toward her husband. Sensing something was wrong, the husband turned and shot Woodson a challenging look, but Woodson just continued his advances. I turned to Lana. "Now," I said. She stepped away and moved closer to the second henchman, waiting. Woodson whispered to the woman again, took her arm, and began to lead her toward the balcony. She grinned, appearing to enjoy the attention. I stepped between them and spoke. "Excuse me, you don't know me, but this man made similar advances toward my wife about 4.5 years ago. She gave in and went with him for the weekend. It destroyed our marriage and led to this," I said, showing her a photo of my wife's bruised face. "This is my wife. She took her own life last week." I placed the photo in her hand. She went pale, began to tremble, and dropped her glass, which shattered, causing a stir in the crowd. "This is your chance to avoid the same mistake." I discreetly signaled the photographers nearby as I noticed one of Woodson's henchmen moving toward me. The shocked woman looked at the photo, then turned to Woodson. "You jerk!" she yelled, slapping him across the face, her nails scraping his skin. His bodyguard began to move forward, but Lana intervened. "Excuse me," Lana said calmly, holding him back. I turned to leave, brushing past Woodson with my right shoulder. He glared at me. "It's you!" he snarled, reaching for my shoulder. "Let go of me!" I growled, spinning to my left, then pivoting back to land a solid punch on his nose with my right fist. His nose crumpled, his jaw cracked, and blood gushed as he dropped like a sack of bricks. His henchmen stood frozen while cameras flashed around them. Lana took my arm, and the shaken brunette's husband hurried to her side. "Please, take me home now," she said, her voice trembling. Lana and I stepped onto the dance floor, the crowd parting as we moved to the center. Facing the crowd, I pointed directly at Woodson. "I should feel ashamed for what that man got away with," I exclaimed. "You should all feel ashamed for supporting him by donating here. The charity, Chicago, and society as a whole need to be accountable for his actions. This weekend, a newspaper article will reveal the facts and the courageous statements of his victims. Read it and let it sink in." Lana pulled me away before I lost control, and we moved through the crowd. Back home, she iced my sore fist, and we shared a passionate night together. The consequences came quickly and were severe. While his actions weren't criminal, public opinion was unforgiving. He became a pariah, with charities rejecting his donations. Contributions to the Children's Gala dropped by 65%. Multiple organizations returned his money, removed him from boards, or formally censured him. Even the NAACP cut ties. His damaged reputation as a stockbroker led to the loss of his license and job. He tried to sue me and have me arrested, but the husband of the woman he targeted, a Cook County ADA, started his own investigation, which made the lawsuit pointless. 2 weeks after he was fired, he was found in an alley near the old stockyards, his Johnson removed and placed in his mouth. Too bad. Lana and I became a couple, though we're uncertain about marriage. Reconnecting with my kids and building relationships with her children has been both challenging and rewarding. We're working through the challenges as best we can,